Warcraft 3 is back on the menu for getting patch changes, and we just had the previous patch notes just a couple of days ago. Mind you, it's still on the PTR, the test server, so it's not live yet, but we already have a reiterated, a new iteration, not reiterated, a new iteration of patch changes posted by community manager Kaivax. Let's take a look at it, and we'll get the download. We'll see if it's good or not. Based on your feedback, we've updated the PTR. We'll continue to monitor and make changes until the end of November. Oh, okay. So we got like another 5 weeks of iteration, potentially. So the orc lobby and the night elf lobby and the human lobby and the undead lobby can try to get the best for their races. Or we can try to have the long view and say not any one race should be blatantly overpowered. We should get change for the sake of change in order to get people interested more again and make the game more fun to play again. And then also to guarantee the longest possible stable meta and gameplay. Make sure that nobody rage quits. My race is useless now, I'm done. So with that in mind, with the long view, let's go take a look. Fixed an issue where you couldn't invite other players to their custom game. An issue where tooltips were displaying incorrect strings, where the reduced cost of race dead did not apply after getting skeletal mastery. Okay, cool. Balance. So militia used to be 45, went to 40 a couple of years ago, 42.5 in the PTR from a few days ago, now back up to 45. What I'm really missing is reasoning, but I can come up with the reasoning myself. I mean, this is a tower rush buff and a fast expand buff. It is also a use my militia in the middle of the map buff. And with all that together...
Never thought it'd see a WC3 patch preview ever when I first subscribed to the Grub.
Yeah.
Talk about living legacy.
Yeah, there we go. Didn't know there's still going to be changes, right? I disagree with this one. I think militia... Basically, every peasant is the power of a footman. This changes their base defense not at all, but encourages them to be used aggressively for fast expanding, tower rushing, and fighting in the middle of the map. I found this to be a little bit toxic. I mean, keep in mind, in 2005 to 2010, you would have one base double sanctum builds with Archmage Beastmaster. Orc would play Blade Shadow, Grunt Raider Walker. You would constantly clash all over the map, and if at any time you were on their 60% of the map, aka on the middle point of the map or slightly towards Orc's own side, they would call a militia, and you would fight another 5 or 6 militia or so that have the power of a footman, not as much health, but the same damage. That's as if I suddenly called in 4 grunts for various fights. 6 footies. It's quite a big benefit, and it's free army for some time while they're alive. That's what people were doing with the 45-second militia. That died out because the 40 seconds meant they had to roughly be on their own 40% of the map instead of your 40, like near your 40 border. Bash bonus damage was always 25, 25, 25, and the chances was 20, 30, 40%. And the stun, I think, was a second on heroes. It was buffed in the PTR to 20, 50, 75, which I think was too much. When you take the 75 damage and you add it with the 40% chance modifier, that's 30 DPS, which is the same as Searing Arrow from Potom. Right? 30 damage per hit, not per second, per hit. 30 damage per hit. Same as Searing, but Searing costs mana, Bash does not. And Bash also stuns, Searing does not. Of course, Potom is an agility ranged hero, which will get a few more hits off. But overall, Bash seems a lot better than Searing. And while you can't always one-to-one compare things, you definitely can't, because the context of the entire race will change the value of a certain strength, it still seems a little overtuned. And then they thought, let's buff it a little bit more. And let's also increase the Bash stun duration. From 2-2 to 2-4-6, 1-2-3 for heroes. So we're talking about a 6-second stun on a Tauren, which also takes 100 damage, but not 40% chance anymore, but 25. I don't know. I feel like a 6-second stun from a passive that happens 1 in 4 attacks is a little insane. If you have enough attack speed, just 1 or 2 gloves of haste on Mountain King, I think you permanent stun the Tauren, guaranteed. Like, guaranteed. That does not feel like a good change. Dropping the chance, and again, I wonder why this is happening. I don't know if it is important to know why they think it's a good idea, but I feel like if you understand someone's reasons, it can help a lot. Recently, I had a Twitch chatter that said, "You ugly as fuck." And I thought there was enough reason to perm ban him. But then I got his reasons. He messaged me on Discord the next day, and he said, "You were actually showing a Kunkka skin, which was a tentacle face with gnarly teeth, and the gnarly teeth made him look just like the Predator in Arnold Schwarzenegger's Predator film, and he said that creature was ugly, so I said it. I was also drinking a little bit, and all in all, I thought people would understand the context, but they didn't." So then I thought, okay, that's not worth a perm ban, so I unbanned him. So you see, context matters a lot. Because I thought he was just taking a dig at me or someone else or whatever that was on screen. Context matters. Now, in theory, context does not matter because balance is science. It either works or it doesn't. Right? This is either a good or bad gameplay change. So I shouldn't need it, but I feel like it would still be helpful. Where did they get it from? What is it meant to promote? What gameplay style is it meant to promote? And I don't feel like there's any issues with baseline bash. It was good enough before, and it's still good enough. Is this meant to be a buff? Is it meant to be a nerf? I think this is a buff. I think it's a big buff. A lot more damage, a lot more stun on units. Though from what I can tell, less stun on a hero. Was the 2-2 equal on unit and hero? Now it's going to be more stun on a hero when bash is level 3, which is kind of a rare case. You know, you would need Mountain King level 7 generally. I don't think it's a good change. Now, maybe they always see the upgrade of Thunderclap and Bolt and they think, oh, people don't like Bash because people pick Bolt and Thunderclap. Yeah, but that's happening because we have Brilliance Aura. So we can actually afford both Bolt and Clap. Plus, they both provide really important reason. Clap is War of Attrition, of removing the enemy's health against a non-healing composition like Farseer, TC, Grunt Raider, Walker, Headhunter, Kodo, and so on. No healing naturally from Heal Wave. So then Clap is your War of Attrition together with Blizzard. And Bolt is to control the TC reliably. And Bash will never be that because it's chance-based. But we still go Bash sometimes, only to rescale later sometimes to Bolt and Clap. But there's nothing wrong with Bash. It's not weak, it doesn't need a buff. So what gives? Does Human need a buff? Well, for the most part, we believe that Human in the last year was less strong than other races. Though Human had a really good run in the TP League, where Slovenian random player Starbuck pretty much picks Human all the time, and he 2-0'd Moon, he 3-1'd 120, he 3-0'd Lalayat, he 3-0'd Sok, all with Human. But he is very, very good, and he could be it could be exemplary, and maybe they didn't figure him out yet, etc., etc. But Human doesn't seem like it needs gross buffs, if anything, and these do feel like it. Now, the Devotion Aura reduction from 369 to 346, I think is pretty good, but the inner numbers lover says this is not linear. Why? Because if this is the design philosophy, then Holy Light should be 100, 200, 350. War Stomp should be 1 second, 2 second, 3.5, right? 3, 4.5, 6. It makes it feel a little bit random. I don't want to be too critical, but it's tough. Makes it feel a little bit random. This was linear. 3, 6, 9. This could have remained linear. 3, 4.5, 6. Right? And it's not like we didn't already have decimal points, because the current devotion has decimal point. And the aura that drops on the ground from the item. Is this number correct? It went from trying to remember what the live version has now. I think 3, 4.5, 6 is incredibly powerful. The strategies it will affect is mostly Human against Undead, which uses Archmage, Mountain King, Paladin, or Mountain King, Paladin. It will affect Human against Orc, Griffin builds. Mountain King Paladin Griffins is very Devotion Aura reliant. You don't take D-Shield, you go Holy Light Devotion Aura. Very important to absorb Bat Rider explosions with Griffin. You stack armor. It's been a meta since 2005, since Sky pioneered that. And this will buff it. Keep food, castle food, 2 and 4 extra. So the keep food change will actually make humans be at 50 out of 50. Because nowadays they have a 48 pop cap with a certain amount of farms, and then it goes to 54. So this is like a cleanliness change where you can be 50 pop. Most races, all races go in multiples of 10. So every race had 50 at tier 2 if they wanted it. Of course, Orc now has 51 because of the peon scouting change from tier 1. But 48 is indeed a bit annoying for them, though there's nothing necessarily against asymmetry. It's not like it's game breaking, but you could call it like a buff and a quality of life and a cleanliness thing, though Orc also is an exception to that. I don't mind it too much. I haven't done the maths on what this affects. Let me see. From 50 to 80 is 30. Multiples of 6. So you're going to get 30 from farms. So... Oh. You're going to be 82 then. So that doesn't make sense, I think. I guess they just wanted it to keep adding. Oh, it scales to 100 now. Oh, 82. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see. 82, 88, 94, 100. And without this, you're going to be 98. And then you need another farm. Okay. I guess every race ends up at exactly 100. Except Orc, which is 101. Right? You could keep it at 80 to make it clean. So 14. Or you could put it at 16 to pop out at 100. I find both not super important. Not as important as this, because you're already doing big macro at that moment. But I don't feel too strongly about it. Immolation activation cost increased from 5 to 10. Damage reduced by half. Nothing. So is this about consistency? 4.5, 5.5. No, what the? 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 6 is 17. 5.5 plus 5.5 is 11, plus 6. It's 11, 22, 34 DPS now? Wait, 11, 22, 34. Yeah. Shouldn't it be 11, 22, 33? Like it's not consistent. This should be 16 and a half. Like, it's like they didn't think about it for longer than a second, or they like it to be ugly and unlinear in some way. But anyway, let's talk about, not about the cleanliness of it, the neatness, but the actual damage. I think Immolation down at level 1 is correct, but I feel like it could go a point or 2 down at level 2 and 3 as well. It's really good. Mana Flare range reduced. I think that's good. Mana Flare gets used against human and orc. I think it's a little OP. You pretty much have to deal with the fairy dragon via a bat in a non-fighting moment. If you go Grunt Raider Walker, you have to take down the fairy before the fight starts to try and catch it when it's not in Mana Flare modus. Otherwise, you need 2 bats per fairy, and that's double the cost. And then you cannot use walkers. It's just insane. I feel like it does too much damage from too far range. They're addressing one of it, which I think is fair. Fan of Knives, max total damage changed. Unit cap increased to 455 from 455 to 567. Huh. I will admit I don't understand the implications of this. Druid of the Claw's starting mana increased. No! No, why? Why? What is their obsession with Druids of the Claw? They're very good already. Night Elf, Demon Keeper against Orc with Bears and Dryads is a very strong meta strategy. Night Elf has 3 ways to play that are all really strong against Orc. Bears, they've got the Talent build, and they have the Keeper Mass Hunters build. They all still work. They're all still really good. None of it needs a buff. The fact that they have 3 valid ways to play the game, and Fast Expo, 4 ways, or AP Rush, 5, is already good enough. That already gives Elf the edge pretty much every time, because they have so many options, and they get the scouting with the Wisp. Right? The Wisp that cannot die when it hides in a tree. All Orc can do against Elf is to scout which of the 5 ways Elf is playing, and then they have to counter it and try and deal with it, right? Bears are strong. They did never need more mana, and they still don't need more mana. Bears are already a meta staple in every matchup, and Elf ain't weak. So, big disagree. Abomination collision size reduced. So, this will make it easier for abominations to spread their disease to opponents, to squeeze through. And it will also make aboms less good of a single body blocking tank, but you can spam them a bit more and have them stand side by side, more of them. Overall, units being smaller is an advantage. It can be a disadvantage, but it's an advantage generally for the user because you can have more of it. Though you can see how it could be a disadvantage because people can get past them more easily as well. Turn rate increase. Crypt Fiend turn rate increase. So Abominations and Fiends will become easier to micro. Not sure Fiends needed it. You can fit 1 more Abo in a surround. Huh. Yo, thank you, Stukov. Amai, yeah, Amai could be cool to try. The special AI for Warcraft. I don't mind this too much. Abomination is probably bottom 3 unit for Undead. Or bottom 4. I don't think they're really oppressive in any matchup. So it can be fun to give them some buffs. Bladestorm was 110. PTR said 160. Now it says 140. I think that's fair. Can try. We'll have to see whether it's worth it to scale. From 110 to 140 is 27% damage increase or so. That's pretty damn good. Might be worth to pick. Headhunters have pretty much been almost, I don't want to say dead, but greatly disincentivized as an opener. It was really fun when Orc could pick 2 types of builds, Grunt or Headhunter. Now, Headhunter had been dropping a lot again. It's very weak against Immolation and Fire Breath and Coil and Nova. So I think they really did need it to be viable, the 25 health. So this seems fun. And I wouldn't even mind if they nerfed their cost or something. It's just you couldn't make a good meat of an army with Headhunters when they are so low health. Firelord Incinerate mana costs reduced from 6 to 2. That's pretty heavy-handed, and that's interesting. Firelord is at the time only made for Lava Spawn. It's not made for Incinerate, and it's not made for Soul Burn. When you make a Firelord, you hope to end the game with Firelord level 1. This is what he does. He's a ranged agility hero that has a spawn that can split after 15 attacks on enemy units or creeps. Right? And you pretty much try to win the game right there. You never plan for Volcano unless you're making a YouTube video. You never plan for Incinerate, and you don't take him for Soul Burn because Dark Ranger Silence is better. So, where did the Firelord start to be used? Well, in TFT, at its release. Short Round, Wizard were big users of it. Moon, obviously. And Incinerate actually came out with a 0 mana cost. It was a passive. It was a passively stacking damage bonus that had an infinite stacking roof where it did 1 damage, 2, 3, 4, or it started stacking quicker, right, at higher levels. So you could be hitting for 1,000 damage in theory if you kept hitting the same target. And Firelord was pretty broken. Partially, people were still worse, counter builds were weaker, but dealing with the lava spawns wasn't enough because Incinerate was so bloody strong. And then they added the mana cost. And ever since its large mana cost, it has pretty much always been a very short-lived to be used ability. And it is too weak. I think a mana cost reduction is definitely in order. It would be fun to see Firelord used as more than just a cheesy all-in hero. It would be fun to see failed cheeses have some kind of life after the failed cheese. Firelord also serves an important design philosophy niche, where if the opponent is playing too risky, he is the rush hero that's meant to punish it. So I like Firelord. He's the equivalent of a 6-pool in StarCraft. I think Soulburn needs a buff as well, both Soulburn and Incinerate. 6-2 is pretty heavy-handed. It could be 3 as well. Or 4. I think I would have suggested 4 or 5. But, yeah. 2? I mean, damn, I'll try, I guess. I'll try to see what it's like. Firelord Lava Split requirement reduced from 12 to 9. I thought it was 15. Is it really? Well, I'm gonna try this out, guys. You keep reading. I'm gonna try it out on live servers. Is it 12, really? So anyway... 3 requirement down by 3. Volcano damage. Oh my god! It's a 15% damage increase. I mean, you will still never play for this, right? You'll never actually pick Firelord in order to try and get to Volcano unless you're making a video. But let me go ahead and start to see how many... actually, Booty Bay is probably not the best map for it. Let me go see what is possible from the tavern. Any taverns? This has a tavern. This has a tavern. Okay, let's go. It's 15 in live patch. Oh, did I miss a 15 to 12 change in the previous patch? It says 15 on Wikipedia. Or did they misspeak? I think I have to wait a bit to be able to make Firelord because I don't think you can speed up when Tavern Heroes become available. 15 to 9 is a big buff and may actually be too strong. I think when I tab out, Warcraft pauses, so I'm just gonna have to wait in there and read like this. So I'll scroll down and then I'll read while keeping Warcraft open. Let's see. So we've got the Firelord Lava Spit requirement from 15, let's say, to 9, which is pretty insane. I think that might be too good. It's not enough time to kill the lava spawn in rushes. I could see a lot of cheese happening, though people always get better at cheese eventually, of course, cheese defense. I would say from 15 to 12 is good enough already. It's not that hard to get. Volcano damage, that's a lot of damage. That is a lot of damage. I mean, I'm excited for it. It's okay for ults to be a little broken. Ults are kind of like a game ender, right? It's like in 4X games, where you get the end of the research tree, and it just starts giving insane benefits. Because the game has gone on for so long. Now you're supposed to have god powers to end it. It's like Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, level 13 plus. Godlike. Staff of Telly, I like this change. Volcano is channeled, yes. Can CC stop it? Yes. Yeah, like tier 5 items in Dota. Exactly. Staff of Teleportation has a 2 stock. I like this. they gave the same treatment to Boots of Speed. And that is because it is a clicky war. And if a clicky war was purely skill, that would be okay. But it's not, is it? It's also ping. It's maybe a little bit luck. And then I get it, and then you don't get it. We're both there waiting, spamming. This was really common in Warcraft 3, and you just knew. Like, sometimes you even knew, I'm playing Orc against Elf. I saw the host. I know I have 93 ping. I know the Asian guy has 150 ping. So I know I can go to the shop, and I'm going to get the boots, and you're not. So he's not even going to try, right? So I know he's not going to try. So it's a bit weird. It's like, is it skill? Like, whoever gets it faster? No, it's ping, right? It could be skill if you're a boomer, but... and it's the same with Staff of Telly. Blade follows Keeper to the shop. We get there same time at 1845. At 1900, Staff of Telly becomes available. One of us gets it, the other doesn't. If he gets it, he staffs to my main and kills 3 peons with Entangle. Or he staffs to his mercamp, and then he farms it with Ancient of War, a Huntress and an Archer, right? If I get it, well, I'm not going to use anything for it because Orc has to play reactive against Night Elf. But at least I denied it. Now, he gets it, I get it, he staffs somewhere, and I have to predict where he is and staff towards it. And we can both travel the world together, shining, shimmering, splendid. I think it's a good change. Now, what you can always do, of course, is to buy both and then sell one to deny it. But there's a cost. That's a gameplay decision that's more interesting than just, I got it, you didn't. So I think it's a good change. Crystal Ball moved from level 3 to 2. Really? So it's Circlet, Ring of Protection +4, Claws +4, Gloves of Haste, or Crystal Ball? No. Really? That's so strange. This item is actually not weak. It's just boring. People sell it because they want to use it once and then they want to get stronger right now. So they sell it and they buy something that they can use. But I think oftentimes it might actually be better to keep it. Circle is level 3 now, no? Didn't they get buffed back down to 2? Isn't that good for the level 3 items? It is good for the level 3 items in the sense that you're going to get one instead of a crystal ball. But it's a bit weird. Crystal Ball has fallen so hard. It used to be in the aura level drop table. I know. Next, they're going to put it on tier 1. Slippers of Agility, Gauntlet of Strength, Mantle of Intelligence, Crystal Ball, Cloak of Shadows. Hey, at least Crystal Ball counters Cloak of Shadows, right? Gives True Sight. Anyway, I've gotten to the part where I have a Fire Lord now, so let's try it out. One, 2, 2.5, 3, 57, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15. So this 12 to 9 thing doesn't track. 14 teen. So it's 15 right now. I don't know where the 12 to 9 came from, but I would argue that 12 is fine already. I think that's a really big buff that will be very well noted, and I think it's going to be used. 15 to 9 is a bit extreme. What needs a buff is Soul Burn. I saw a couple of cool changes recently. One is a cooldown reduction. Another one is an undispellability to Soul Burn, which could be interesting as well. For those that don't know, it is a attack damage reduction and a silence. And damage over time. It's 3 things. Damage over time, attack damage reduction, and silence. If you tune the numbers right, making it undispellable could be interesting. So one guy said the spawn only gets 9 seconds lifetime instead of 12. Yeah, but that's not what is written here. So let's ignore that. And then the reverted changes is all the movement speed nerfs and the rusty minning pick. Minning in Dutch actually means loving. Beminnen. To love someone. Usually to make love to someone, I think. Anyway, rusty mining pick no longer added as an item. Yeah, I think it could be problematic. And bug fixes. So that's my opinions on these. The one thing you haven't heard yet is my opinions on things that are not in this list. And I feel compelled to put in a little bit of brain power to come up with a list of balance changes now that I know there's a listening ear again, and I will try to come up with the coolest possible changes, the fairest, and I'll be open to feedback, of course. I'll come out with that soon. All right, that's the end of reading these balance patch changes that are coming out. You've got my opinions on it.